Well, good morning and welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting for October 26, 2022. If you'll please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our inspirational word for the day comes from Ephesians. God has created us for a life of good deeds, which he has already prepared for us to do. Madam Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Commissioner Lundy,
I'm here.
Commissioner Hung,
Here.
Commissioner Moore.
Here.
Okay. I guess we'll move right into resolutions.
Number 1, investments.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
2, appropriations.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Number 3, transfers.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Number 4, advances, repayments.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Number 5, requisitions.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes. I will be approving with the exception of a no on 1836.
Anything further?
Yeah, I'll be voting no on 1813 and 1814.
Okay. So, Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung with the exception of the no to 1836,
Yes,
Thank-
with the exception.
and Commissioner Moore, no to 1813 and 1814. Correct? Okay. Number 6, travel.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Number 7, bills.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Number 8, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners. At the conclusion of today's board meeting, the Commissioners may recess an executive session to discuss personnel, new hires, and board appointments. 9, approve and waive the reading of the Commissioners' meeting minutes of October 12th and 19th.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Number 10, amendment resolution 22-716 adopted October 5th, 2022, requesting the Lorain County Budget Commission to approve the movement of inside millage from bond retirement to general fund. Amendments to reflect the inside millage will be moved from the general fund to bond retirement.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
11, approve a grant in the amount of $995,000 to the City of Avon for the Lorain County Crusher Stadium with planned upgrades and maintenance due to the increased use and cost of operation as a result of the COVID pandemic and will be paid from the ARPA other expenses account.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I would just like to point out, I know it was several weeks ago, we approved funding support through the Rescue Act dollars for the county fair and the new proposed expo center. More than proposed, it's definitely going to be an expo center. But just want the public to know with these Rescue Act dollars under the program, we are able to support tourism activities in the county that were greatly impacted by the pandemic. I think clearly here in this county, probably the 3 attractions that bring in the most amount of people from outside the county are in fact the county fair. I'm always amazed when I'm there at the fair, the people I talk to that come in from all the surrounding counties and throughout the state of Ohio to visit our fair. That's probably why it's the second most successful, I think, in the state for county fairs. The other events are clearly Rocket on the River. I think they get upwards of 7,000 to 10,000 people for those events that come in. People come into Lorain County for that. And then also at the Crusher Stadium, not only just for the ball games, but for other activities that are held there and for concerts. Did receive a letter here from the mayor of Avon, and of course they came in and made a presentation recently, and he said we were in the beginning stages, this Mayor Jensen of Avon saying we were in the beginning stages of discussing a new video scoreboard, new field turf for Crusher Stadium when the pandemic hit. The abrupt halt of the baseball season immediately stopped any further planning for this. In the end, the entire baseball season was canceled, as well as a portion of the next season. Because of that, we worked with the Crushers and made a decision to forego 75% of their lease agreement that year. We extended the lease for another year. The second year of COVID saw us trying to get folks back to the ballpark. It was not a good year. Because of the lost revenue of almost 2 years, we lacked the funding to offer activities and could not move forward with what we had hoped to do. The French Creek YMCA also saw a very similar situation play out, with the same abrupt stop to business, the increasing loss of revenue that goes with that. They too could not move forward with programs because of the lack of funding. One of the activities the YMCA hopes to promote is the youth flag football program, which will take place on the new turf field at the complex. I know the city's also indicated that, you know, with the big screen, you'll be able to have concerts. Folks will be able to see the shows. Also, the hope is to have county family movie nights there at the stadium as well too, and I'm hoping that in addition to the Guardians' recent run, that maybe the Cavs and everybody else will get back in the playoffs again too, so we can have watch parties instead of driving to downtown Cleveland. Maybe we can actually go over there and have the watch parties in the area. So those are some of the plans that they have over there, but as you can tell, they have been negatively impacted by the pandemic. Any other comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner,
Actually,
Sure.
in researching this, I think Mayor Jensen sent all three of us that letter. Thank you for the review on that, Mr. President. On these ARPA dollars, we have discussions up here. Dan weighs in with us often on that, and I always go back to kind of my guidelines that I keep folded up in my purse on this. If I have any questions from people in the public, I can kind of just pull this out and go over it with them, because sometimes I do get asked, what and why and what our reasoning is for spending on some of these projects. And when I go back to, my paperwork here that I keep, it says COVID-19 expenditures, negative economic impacts of COVID-19, including assistance to small business, household, hard-hit industries, and economic recovery. And I think when Mayor Jensen was here and with the letter that he sent, he made the case to meet the requirements for negative economic impacts of COVID-19, that it was a hard-hit industry and economic recovery, which is why I'm supporting this today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
That was probably the worst presentation I've ever seen. They came here, they never asked for the money. The Chronicle got it wrong and said they wanted $250,000 because there was no ask. It was inside the proposal what they were doing. The project's already started. They're asking for reimbursement. And my question is, I like the comment about we can discuss this in public, so I will be asking the prosecutor right now, the assistant county prosecutor. I'm sorry I promoted you too quickly there, Dan. Can you explain to the public why it's $5,000 under $1 million, please?
I think that my legal advice to the board should be kept. I can't disclose what my legal advice to this board was.
Can I disclose the legal advice, sir?
I think
Would that be a breach of executive privilege?
I believe the privilege belongs to the board, so it would require a vote of the board.
Okay, then I'll be voting no today. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments?
I think it's important.
You're probably correct.
I think it's important to note that the board has to rely on the ability to talk to their counsel confidentially, and it gets complicated in a three-person board. The privilege belongs to the board itself, and the board has to waive the privilege by a majority vote at least before I'd be allowed to discuss as a lawyer what we've talked about.
Sorry for putting you on the spot.
That's okay. I assumed that was coming, so
Oh, you did?
I did. Yeah.
Wow, you know.
I would add one other thing, just as a point of clarification, to something Commissioner Lundy said, and I hope that this isn't a breach of privilege, because I've talked about this before, but it's a sticking point. Tourism is an affected industry to the point that both Commissioner Hung and Commissioner Lundy met. So I don't know that the issue was necessarily the Crushers proving that they were impacted by the COVID pandemic. like you discussed, that industries that are affected by tourism, which I think a very good argument can be made would apply to the stadium, are presumptively impacted. So I just want to make sure that was clear. There are other, it's a very complicated law. It's a 167-page FAQ section. There's a lot of things that we discuss in executive session and individually about how to best maneuver within it and position the county as best as we can. But I thought that was worth making a point since you brought that up. Okay.
Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
No.
Number 12, approve a grant in the amount of $995,000 to Lorain City Port Authority to expand and improve the facilities within Black River Landing to enhance its desirability as an outdoor recreational facility with a disproportionately impacted community impact by COVID-19 pandemic and paid from the ARPA other expenses account.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I know that we had a presentation here, well over a month ago, I believe, by the Port Authority, showing us plans for developing a stage there, I think a full-fledged stage that will actually enhance the programming there. And as I said, they've been attracting 7,000 to 10,000 people for those events each weekend. And that this is something that certainly was negatively impacted during the pandemic. They're obviously getting back up to speed too, but all the conversations we have around here, people always tell me, you got to showcase our lakefront more. You got to showcase what's going on in our lakefront communities, and this is certainly, a way of doing that, drawing people in. And when folks come in, they help support our restaurants. So we also hope that when they come in from the outside, maybe they choose to stay in one of our hotels, which helps out with the overall tourism impact. But I think it's going to be even bigger and better. I know that Tom Brown's here. Tom, I don't know if you want to add anything or not. So you're good? Right. But I think it's been going really well, and and it puts us on the map. And I think anytime we get a chance to get people in from the outside to our county and they get to see what's going on, and anytime we can help with our largest city to get a shot in the arm, Lorain is truly going through a renaissance. It's amazing the turnaround that's been taking place there. I see Councilman Fallis here today, and so he knows firsthand all the good things that are going on in Lorain. And I think this is another boost for the economy and for the businesses in Lorain by making an investment in this project. Any others? No?
Yeah. So I've been talking, this has been going on for some time with the port. I'd like to commend you because you did an excellent presentation. I know you wanted more than what you're getting, but that's okay, right? It's a great community effort. You're raising money from outside it is my understanding that the city of Lorain should be matching, but we don't know yet. So I was hoping for a partnership on this one, but what I like about what the Port Authority's doing is they have a plan. This is an economic development plan for the Port Authority, for the city, and for the community. It's nothing that was just kind of came up quickly. It's something that you've been working on, I know, hard for a long time, that changes the look of, also expands the facility from downtown and starts generating business so it's easy access to downtown. And I commend you on all the work that you and that board has done, because this is not an easy, it has not been an easy task. So I appreciate all the work that you and the board has been doing, especially trying to bring the herd of cats along to get them together on this one project in Lorain. That's not an easy task. So congratulations.
And I would think that, through the conversations I've had with the mayor, it sounds like the city of Lorain is going to make a similar commitment. I don't think that's been finalized yet, but I haven't heard any reason why the course of direction has changed on it. So, but it's a good project. You guys are hitting it out of the park down there, bringing a lot of people in, and I think this is going to make it bigger and better to bring in some really good acts. But it's also going to be a community facility, much like we talked about what's going on with the stadium, and that, this is going to be something where I know that your board is committed to having movie nights and making it possible for the churches in the community to have their services and all kinds of events. So it's not just for concerts on the weekend. It's truly going to be a gathering place for the community and for the county.
I would have preferred to kind of see you work together with the new, I think Councilman Arredondo said, what's coming is probably bigger than Ford coming to Lorain. And we talked last night about that, whether or not you guys were going to have any synergies, but it sounds like it's two separate projects. So I have a feeling, you guys might be coming back, I have a feeling. No,
Yeah,
I don't know if I'll put you on the spot like that. So, I was more interested, while you're walking, I'll eat up some dead space here. I was more interested in something creating new downtown Lorain. And I kind of like what I heard, I've said in those meetings, so I'll let you, now that you got up here, so.
No, I think that the presentation in front of Lorain City Council is very exciting, and the Port Authority is very active and integral in that development as well. We're one of the partners. Where I would say it was separate is one of the conceptual ideas that were back and forth was maybe a combined facility, but once they saw our plans, they were 100% on board saying, you have to build that one. So I think there's some active interest, and we're going to continue to negotiate and look for those private partners. So a group such as those guys with that resume, absolutely we'll be continuing the dialogue with that group as well.
Yeah, because that group's like nationally known for bringing this type of development
Absolutely.
to communities, and I've seen their before and after photos, and
They're
you're right.
brownfield experts, and
Yeah.
unfortunately in Lorain we've got some brownfields,
We got a
and that's
couple.
one of our challenges. So we're going to keep plugging away, but obviously on behalf of the port and the entire board, we appreciate your guys' support, and we look forward to getting this project started very soon.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Tom. It was an impressive presentation that you gave when you were here, and you were very proactive in meeting with all of us before the presentation. And just so the public knows, when you're dealing with city council, things often get kicked to committee, as you probably, as you know, Tom. So that sometimes is what takes longer, and probably what's going on with the mayor being able to push this commitment through quicker. But I'm glad, and I'm proud to partner with you and get this going.
Oh, again, we appreciate it, and we've had great dialogue with Mayor Bradley, and we anticipate at some point either presenting in front of council or having a similar resolution coming forward. So there's never been any step back from them. It's just always been how much. So we got our work cut out. We still have more fundraising to do, but we're going to go after some of those private dollars as well. And I mean, I think it's well worth noting the port's already committed about $1.5 million. We think we can get it up to about $2 million plus just from the port, do creative financing and different things that we can do as well.
Yeah, after talking to you that day in my office, I have no doubt that you are a fundraising machine on this, and you will get it done.
I appreciate any and all introductions to people with money.
I thought he was getting ready to ask us,
I'm not
The
saying
900 so
I'm
let
like
me-
a bad penny. I might show up later.
So 995,000, that's a lot of money, isn't it?
That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
Nothing
well, you
to
know what?
sneeze at.
You know it's a lot of money, and that's why you showed up today, and I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Any other comments? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Number 13, approve a grant in the amount of $5,000 to Lorain County Beekeepers Association LaGrange for purchase of audio, visual, and other equipment to provide a safe learning environment in the importance of beekeeping and benefits a nonprofit adversely impacted by COVID pandemic and paid from the ARPA other expenses account.
So move.
Second?
Discussion.
Yeah, at this point, I'd like to call up Marilyn Teeple. Yeah, Marilyn, if you come up and tell us a little bit about how pandemics impacted things and what you'll be doing in the community.
Can I bring these up, pass them down? Marilyn Teeple is not here today.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She got called out to Florida.
Oh, wow.
With her 80-year-old sister,
Oh,
so
my.
Wow.
Okay.
we all have sisters probably.
Sure.
You go when they say, I need you. My name is Sheila St. Clair. I am the Bee City Coordinator and the Building Fund Project Manager for Lorain County Beekeepers. There are many of us, and I also have with me today the President of Lorain County Beekeepers, which happens to be my husband. Denzel St. Clair is also getting ready to retire. I think he's served about 15 years. We have been members since 1987, so we at least have some time in there. The project and the grant information that Marilyn shared with you is very dear to our heart. We are an organization that's 104 years old. We were here 4 years ago when the commissioners gave us proclamation for our achievements over the last 100 years. We were also recognized by the state of Ohio with the very same type of documentation, and the village of Wellington, because that is where we started 104 years ago. What we're doing daily, yearly, all year long is we're all a collective group of beekeepers. Agriculture in Lorain County is very important. Honeybees are as extremely important to agriculture as agriculture is to the honeybee. If we lose all of our resources for them to feed on and pollinate, then we will lose them. If we've lost them, then we've obviously lost agriculture. So it goes hand in hand, and so yearly we spend timeless hours. Somebody told me to calculate volunteer hours. In 2022, I'm going to say with 25 people showing up every time we reach out, we have to be over the 2,000-hour mark, and that's just my estimate for you this morning. Other than that, I did have a note that I wanted to share with you, and this has to do with the county at large. I sit on the very southern end, down in the cornfields and the soybean, where the Wi-Fi is how high you can raise your hand almost. And so I've worked in that area a long time. My note I have for you today is the population of Lorain County has increased from 301,000 round figures in 2010 to 315,000 in 21, with about a 4.7% increase in 11 years. With the trends for everyone, and I think probably everybody here, if you got a little patch of grass, you're growing tomatoes now. With the trend for everyone to grow a garden and to ward off potential food shortages in the future, and to buffer high prices of everyday items, the demand for honeybees and pollination is even greater. Even if they go out and they're not pollinating something for you to have something edible, they are pollinating so that you can have the tree growth that you need as far as trees and brush and just growth in general. But of course, you all know that 30% of your plate is dependent on honeybees directly, and that's just what we know from our finite intelligence of what we think could happen. Do we lose honeybees? And so Lorain County Beekeepers, 200 members strong, 104 years old. I am in charge of the building fund, and that's not why I'm here today. It's about our educational purposes. We rent, we pay for every printed piece of material. So we need more than what we already have. We have acquired some AV equipment, but we also need a good printer because the dollars we spend is outrageous for all of the educational materials. I think we've educated over 500 to 600 people this year, ranging from 80-year-olds down to third graders. Already for 2023, we have 200 students, 100 in each school already on the docket. We taught a class in March, 4 nights, 200 people. If you add in all of the extracurricular activities where that we not only talk to you about beekeeping and its importance, we show you. We right now rent in Grafton, Ohio at Life Church. The church has just given us, for little money of rent, we get a lot of facility, and we also have a memorial garden with beehives in it, so we open them constantly. So Maryland's request for more grant money would go to facilitate the education of all people, schools, churches, and alike, for the future. And then, of course, as we continue to reach our goals, I'm at about $65,000 in our building fund right now. And since a member since 1987, they said, well, what is your ending goal? I don't have figures like some of you might have in planning projects, but I said, well, by 2025 or before I'm gone. So anyway, we have projects, we're very busy. We do thank you for your time. If you have questions, maybe there's something I have not covered.
Yeah. Any questions? Yeah, just want to thank you for all that you do, and I know Pastor Jeff Algrim there at Life Church, and just a great guy, and
Yes.
so it's great that he's working closely with your organization. And a lot of folks may not know, under Ohio Revised Code, we're required to keep an apiary each year, and we contractually do that each and every year. to make sure if there's any bee issues that there's a beekeeper on call to make sure that gets addressed.
And that does need to be said, that, thank you for bringing that up. John Reichel is our bee inspector, and that money is generated for his time and efforts in beekeeping from the commissioners, if I am not badly mistaken. And so we need that. We need to continue that. He does a great work.
Yeah, I think I was telling you earlier before the meeting when I was in the legislature, we had lots of discussions about the importance of bees, for the agricultural community in the state. And also when I worked as a reporter, one time I put on the whole beekeeper garb. And I'm sure people watching the story thought, boy, he's pretty brave. Inside, I was as nervous as could be, and kind of glad it was over at the time. But so for those who do that each and every day, it's really an important thing that needs to be done. And but we can't thank you enough for all the outreach in the community, because folks just really underestimate how important the bee population is, and having the bee population be healthy. So.
Well, hopefully, we never gain the knowledge of what it would, how destructive it will be
Right,
if we lose them.
right.
Thank you, Sheila, for coming in. You actually answered my question on the impact on our food supply here in Lorain County. That was a very thorough presentation and explanation. But I do have to ask you, because I ask this all the time, if people want to volunteer their time or donate, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, we have a phenomenal website, which also has a building fund page on it. Lorain County Beekeepers.org is their website, and they're very, very active on Facebook. And all of our history, the 100th anniversary. Not all the commissioners were there, but we had that hosted. We fed 350 beekeepers from across the state, no charge. We raised the money. We went to the fairground. We rented the commercial building, and we invited, I believe that Dick Stein was represented. Somebody from the commissioners were there. And we did not go in the red. We had so many donations and backers for that event. Very few organizations. I have the original history. If you'd been at that banquet, we took the original minutes from the original meeting and made placemats out of them. We stop at nothing. So, thank you.
So, so your budget is $25,000 a year?
Our budget, it must be, that's not my document.
Oh, that's not your
Maryland's, yes.
Do you guys do a lot of fundraising? That how you get most of your money?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And classes, we do charge for our classes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Sure,
absolutely
you add
accurate.
Commissioner Moore to your fundraising list.
Yes, and I gave you those fine brochures that
Sure.
we've had
Yeah,
printed.
always let us know. if
Yeah,
there's
always let me
something
know
going
for
on.
fundraisers.
Yeah.
I prefer to write my own checks instead of the county dollars, so.
Okay. So noted.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? No, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
No, and keep me on your fundraising list, because I'll write you a check, okay?
Okay,
I
have
just
your
won't do it with
card.
county dollars, that's the difference,
I got your
okay?
card at the fairground. I
Oh, you
picked it
betcha?
up and said-
Okay.
Yeah.
And I want some honey.
Okay, I started to bring some today. but
Oh,
I
you
didn't
should've
know if it
brought
was-
some.
I didn't know if it was appropriate. I didn't know if that looked like I was
Oh, you're right, that
trying to
would've been
fix the
bribing us,
deal.
wouldn't it?
Well,
Thanks.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Okay, Madam Clerk, number 14.
Approve a grant in the amount of $5,000 Lorain County Aquarium Society, Overland, to purchase computers and equipment to continue the education of promoting and enjoying aquarium life in all aspects of nonprofit adversely affected by COVID pandemic, and paid from the ARPA other expenses.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
At this point, I'd like to call up Barbara Winicki. Okay.
Everybody has a stand-in.
If you could state your name,
Okay,
sir.
can you state your name,
How
please?
you doing today? I'm Josh Cook.
Hey, Josh.
Hi, Josh.
I'm just going to read some notes that I took down. I am the president of Lorain County Aquarium Society. We were founded back in 1990, and since then, we have been a place where hobbyists could gather together and share in common interests of fish keeping and conservation. This past year, the club officially acquired a 501c3. The society meets once a month, where we gather and learn not only about aquariums that we keep in our homes, but about a large variety of species around the world. At our meetings, we hold an auction of donated items for members that are donated from what they breed in their basements and their living rooms, and also what they local clubs donate to us. Funding our club is very important to us. It allows us to manage our larger yearly expenses like insurance, P.O. box, our website domain name, These practical costs enable us to function on a yearly basis. After those items are addressed, we turn our eyes to reaching out to the community. As the Lorain County Aquarium Society, we want to be able to include people of this community. One of the major ways we reach out to the community is through helping schools set up aquariums. Recently at the Lorain Preparatory Academy, we were able to set up a fully functioning 46-gallon aquarium in Miss Novak's class. Through this aquarium, Miss Novak has now started a Lorain Preparatory Academy Aquarium Club for her students. It's about 10, 12 students large. I weekly get text messages. We started them off with some very easy fish, and this past week I got a text message. We have babies, we have babies. And I can just imagine all the kids going crazy and that kind of stuff as they walked into school for the first time that day and seeing the little fry swimming around and that kind of stuff. The reason I bring that up, why we reach out to kids a lot of times, is when I was young, in my probably 12, 13 years old, I had a lot of issues of depression, anxiety. And I was really attracted to aquariums and other animals, just normal kid, loving stuff, going out catching salamanders and whatnot. And so my parents got me a fish tank, a 10-gallon fish tank. And through that process, along with some really good parenting, I'm sure, helped me deal with my depression and anxiety. And at the age of 15, I had like 5 fish tanks in my bedroom. And here I am now at 36 with quite a few more than that. Wow. One of the main purposes of the Aquarium Society is, community. It's not just about learning about the pets that we keep, the fish that we keep in these little glass boxes, but it's about making sure that as a community we stay together and we learn husbandry. Recently, the hobby has changed from just keeping these really cool pet Oscars that still exist, these big fish, or little cool goldfish. It's really changed to conservation. Through clubs nationally, worldwide, and local like ours, we teach about fish that are just disappearing off the face of the earth. In my fish room alone, I keep 12 species of fish that no longer exist in the wild. It's through guys like me, people all around the country, we mail fish to each other, and we set up these species survival programs to keep the DNA fresh and that kind of stuff to make sure that that fish stays on the earth. The other reason why we do what we do, the community, recently, this past weekend, my wife's father-in-law passed away on the other side of the country. And through the relationships that I've built over the years in this hobby, I cannot tell you how many people have reached out to me and my wife. My wife has nothing to do with the aquarium hobby. She's like, that's his nerd place, that's fine. Like, he does him, whatever. But she's been touched just by the amount of other members, husbands and wives reaching out to her and saying, are you okay? What can I do for you? And there was the possibility I'd have to fly out to Oregon and be with them. And I had more than enough people lined up to come feed the cats and feed the fish, and that just weren't family members and that kind of stuff. Through the COVID-19, our club pretty much shut down. We went from 10, 15 members on the regular, meeting once a month. We're much larger than that. We have a lot of online presence. We have a lot of auctions twice a year that we do, and we have over 100 people show up for those, and that's what we get a lot of our funding for. But through COVID, we really shut down, and we really are in a regrowth phase. We're up to every week 15, 20 members meeting every month. We're going into the holiday season, which is kind of our busy season, conventions, that kind of stuff. But at our last auction that we just had in October, we had like 120 people show up from all over the county. We had almost 500 bags of fish auctioned off. This is all stuff that people breed in their basements, and they spend the time, they spend all their money locally at like Best and Pets, Aquatica, other local fish stores. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for your time and everything.
Wow. That was very informative. Thanks. Very informative. A lot of activities going on. When I was a kid, we had a fish tank, and I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And I think it's great that you're also educating people in the community about it and the youth about it, and looking at it from protecting the species and environmental lens and everything else. That's great. That's really good.
It was was a wonderful
Yeah.
presentation, very informative. You got me on the shipping the fish in the
Yeah.
mail.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Yeah.
Gosh, I hate to do this. You got
I would
me
not want to be
too,
that fish, right?
Yeah, there's a whole science behind it. We figured it out. We're like, oh, what's the weather going to be
Give
like
us
between
a
here
little
and
piece
there?
of
And
it. Just tell us a little bit more about it.
so shipping fish, we have these little styrofoam boxes. Yeah, we have little styrofoam boxes we put inside of a cardboard box, and depending on the temperature, so like if I was to ship something to Colorado, it's cold between here and there, so I put a heat pack into it, and we overnight ship it. So it costs like $80 nowadays, but yeah, and we just put them in, and the guy's waiting for them at the door. Just go pick them up. So, yeah, we do that. They're called. There's all different types of endangered and extinct species, but live bearers and egg layers and all kinds of stuff. And there really are hundreds of species that just would not exist if it wasn't a bunch of nerds like us keeping these things, keeping them going in the hobby, getting people interested in them.
Well, thank you for all you do, and please thank the nerds on my behalf.
All right.
Thanks.
Wow.
Appreciate it.
So cool.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No, thank you very much. Thanks, Josh. Very informative.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
No.
15, approve grant in the amount of $5,000 St. Peter's Cub Scout Pack 153 North Ridgeville to provide financial assistance for summer camp fee and update older and worn camping equipment and continue the education of scouting, a nonprofit adversely affected by COVID pandemic and paid from the ARPA other expenses account.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, at this time, if we could call up Chris Swank and Doug Vasey, or Vassy. Good morning,
I don't know if
gentlemen.
it's related, but
Good morning.
could be.
Hi, my name is Chris Swank, and next to me here is Doug Vasey. I work full-time downtown Cleveland at Tugboat Company. Mr. Vasey here is a full-time firefighter from Westlake. During our off time, we are den leaders, and we represent Cub Scout Pack 153 out of North Ridgeville. This actually sometimes feels like a full-time job. We are chartered out of St. Peter's, actually this year celebrating our 65th year associated with St. Peter's, established in 1957. So there's a lot of history between our pack and our troop and the community. We'd like to thank the commissioners for inviting us here this morning in response to our ARPA request. There's a few things about what we do in Cub Scouts. Our organization is a family-run organization. It's run by volunteers who have children, in my case, grandchildren, in the pack. And we have children ages kindergarten through 5th grade at the pack level. And then at the troop level is ages 6th grade all the way through high school until they reach the age of 18. Mission of the Boy Scouts America is to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices over their lifetimes by instilling in them the values of the Scout Oath and the law. For those that don't know the Scout Law, the points of the Scout Law is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, irreverent. I forgot to put the sign up for that. So Commissioner Moore there. And the aims of scouting are character, citizenship, personal fitness, and leadership. At the Cub Scout level, we are an introduction to this program, and it's our job as unpaid volunteers to instill these traits in our younger generation and excite them as well with the programming that we offer. We start at the kindergarten level with basic principles that are earned through activities, games, fun events. Cub Scouting focuses on the home and the neighborhood. It helps scouts strengthen connections to their local communities, which in turn supports their growth and development. As they get older and hopefully remain in the program, the dependency on the den leaders and our parents should lessen while their independence grows and they start learning to take on more responsibility and leadership roles. By the 5th grade, our Era of Light kids are considered leaders of the pack, getting ready to bridge over to the Scouts BSA program, where the responsibilities, accountability, and leadership roles are pushed to another level. So in other words, at the Cub Scout level, we are preparing these children for the Scouts BSA program, and without the Cub Scout program, there is no Scouts BSA program because you just run out of kids that would end up moving up to the next level. A lot of service projects that we've done in the past, cleaning parks. So when we have events at the park or we go on hikes, We're always carrying trash bags with us whenever we go on hikes and that. So if you pick up trash, we always teach our kids, if you pick it up, you know, if somebody else wants to leave it there, we'll pick it up and we'll take it to the dumpster when we get done with our hike. We've also done Christmas caroling at nursing homes, providing Christmas cards and ornaments to the residents. And every year we also have collected socks and undergarments for the residents at the Lorain Valor Home as well too. When we do our annual Corn Festival parking lot fundraiser, 25% of all the proceeds that we make there, we donate to local community care as well too. This year, we still plan on collecting food for the community care and continuing our sock and undergarments drive for the Lorain Valor Home. Hopefully, after not being able to visit the residents the last couple of years because of COVID restrictions, we might be able to finally go pay the nursing home residents a visit. All Cub Scout packs are run different, and they run different events and activities. Annually, our pack collects about $150 per scout, which covers their scout fee to the council, and which is about $76 per scout, and then the rest of the money goes towards the pack. And the rest of that money covers camp registration when we go on campouts, food, items for activities at those events. It also covers awards that the scouts earn throughout the year. It covers the Blue and Gold Banquet. We purchased the Pound of Derby car kits, and other people probably remember those little wooden Pound of Derby cars. We provide those to the scouts at no cost as well too. And when possible, we've also been able to pay a percentage of summer camp fees. When we are in a surplus of money, we've been able to provide a percentage of summer camp fees for scouts for families that may not be able to afford it. So we may not be able to cover the whole cost, but we're looking at 25 to 35% of the cost just to kind of help eliminate some of that extra burden of cost for the families. We also purchase and maintain equipment for campouts. We have a trailer used to store and transport equipment, and there is maintenance and annual plate renewal fees associated with that as well too. We are aware of children participating in other sports and activities which can cost money, so our goal is to ensure that there is little to no cost throughout the year to the families, because they're already paying a certain fee every year, and we also understand there's other sports that cost families money as well too. So we try to limit how much we make the families pay. We are a nonprofit organization, as most people know. We rely solely on fundraising and donations. During the pandemic of 22, though, and due to heavy restrictions, a lot of our fundraising opportunities plummeted. A lot of it was, people know about the Cub Scout, Boy Scout popcorn sales and all that. Well, a lot of any sales that we could have done were strictly online only. Storefronts, due to corporate regulations, were not allowing us to sell in front of the stores, and that was a huge loss because whenever we went and sold in front of stores like a Giant Eagle or Walmart or something like that, people may not be buying the popcorn, but they still might drop $5 in the bucket or $10 in the bucket. There was one day the year before 2020, I remember we actually got about $1,000 just in donation money in front of Giant Eagle. That didn't include the popcorn that we sold. Another one of our fundraisers that we lost out on during COVID was the Corn Festival parking lot, because the Corn Festival in North Ridgeville was canceled in 2020. And the year before that, we actually, between the troop and the pack, we earned about $3,500. And in 2020, because of the cancellation of the Corn Festival, we lost all of that. And so community care lost a portion of that as well, too. Again, due to COVID restrictions, St. Peter's Church, they didn't allow us to do like any spaghetti dinners, pancake breakfast, or anything like that, just because of the heavy restrictions. So due to this being the fundraising being extremely limited, and of course not wanting to pack the full, there was some out-of-pocket expense for myself, other den leaders as well too. Membership, we also saw a membership decline. Our pack during 2020 actually dropped to about 13 to 14 kids from kindergarten to 6th grade. And North Ridgeville is a big population, and I know the adjacent packs as well had some issues to the point where pack and troop 140 that I grew up in out of Fields Church ended up folding and actually merged with our pack. Just their numbers are down in the single digits. So we actually gained a few extra scouts from them. But again, it was, I think a lot of it had to do with online scouting, which I'm not particularly a fan of because I think scouting is an outdoor thing and it's a camaraderie thing with other kids. So the whole Zoom scouting thing didn't quite fit my view on scouting. So, and we actually were able to still conduct meetings and that in a very safe manner, according to the guidelines and everything. And we never had any instance of COVID in our pack at all, so it worked out pretty well. Overall, scouting overall has seen a nationwide decrease. In fact, latest statistic I saw in July 2021, Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA program dropped from 1.97 million in 2019 to 1.12 million in 2020. It was a 43% drop. Records also show that membership has fallen further since then to about 762,000 nationwide. Even the Girl Scouts, they've even seen a 30% loss as well, from about 1.4 million in 19 to 20 to about just over a million in 2021. So we're not the only ones affected by this. So the way I see it, our job and responsibility now as den leaders, Cub masters, community leaders, teachers, and even as parents as well too, is to keep up with these kids. While continuing to instill traits, characteristics, and values of scouting, these values to make our communities so great and created so many memories I and so many others have as a child growing up in Scouts, we need to make this old school train of thought that the Scouts and the characteristics and values taught are old school. We need to make that old school train of thought into a new school way of life. And scouting provides not only pride of country, community, strong character, and leadership, but just honest to goodness human beings, and we need to do whatever we can to ensure programs such as this, as there are other programs that have similar goals as well too, survive and thrive. If we are fortunate enough to receive any portion of this grant requested, it will absolutely help and support our Cub Scout pack. We did have a surplus going into 2020, and ever since 2020, we've been playing catch up just because the lack of fundraising. We've gotten by, but we are still been playing catch up ever since then. Like I said, we were at about 13 to 14 scouts during that time. Luckily, we're fortunate enough now, we're about 34, 35 now. So we've seen an increase in scouts joining. But again, because due to 2020, I mean, it's still been playing catch up as far as finances go. So that's why, we applied for the ARPA grant. So.
I have to tell you, Mr. Swank, you were the only one that applied.
Really?
And we as commissioners, we do get a lot of requests for the proclamations and you mentioned the blue and gold dinners and, the certificates for the kids. And I was really surprised that we didn't get more than one Cub Scout pack.
I am too, actually. I wonder if it was maybe just a lot of packs maybe just weren't aware of it. A lot of the leaders were not aware of it. My personal belief is I think the success of a pack and troop, and that's at the Boy Scouts level and a Girl Scout level, I think it depends on the leadership. And you got to have leaders that care. And I know I care. I grew up in scouting. I've got my kids in scouting. My grandkids are scouting. Mr. Vasey here, I know he cares. He's got one in the troop and one in the pack as well too. So I think a lot of it just has to do with the leadership has to really care. So they look in any different way that they can help keep their pack and troop afloat and functioning.
And you mentioned the decline, and I hate to put you on the spot here. Do we know how many nationwide have had to fold due to COVID? Do we have any approximate numbers?
I'm not sure about nationwide. Just looking at the numbers here, though, like I said, in 19 we're at, before 19 we were at 1.97 million scouts. To 21, it was 1.12 million, and now we're under a million at 762,000. So I imagine there's a lot of packs and troops that have folded, especially due to partially due to COVID as well. Like I said, I know the one in Ridgeville folded, and I have seen on social media there have been some other packs and troops over the last 2 years that have folded.
And then you mentioned the Corn Festival. Was that 2 years or 1 year you were off?
That was 1 year that we were off.
Because we just did that recently with the Apple Festival. Commissioner Moore recommended a Cub Scout pack for our parking garage for the Apple Festival. So that's nice that we're able to do that for the local Cub Scout packs.
Yeah, a lot of the, before about 4 or 5 years ago, we never did that at St. Peter's parking lot. So for the residents of North Ridgeville, they're kind of surprised when we started paying it. But when they found out that they're supporting the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts and community care, they were pretty well receptive of it. So it's been a big help over the years.
Well, having been involved in scouting like Commissioner Moore, it was a great life experience. Really enjoyed it. Wouldn't trade it in for anything. And hopefully more of the youth will get involved. But it's important to have gentlemen like you to step up and, you know, be good role models and mentors and take the extra time. I'm sure you're busy with your own family lives, so you really have to go the extra step. And but scouting's a great experience, and it's important that you get the support that you need to be there for the kids. So, any other questions, comments?
Just real quick, to Commissioner Hunk's point, there's a former Cub Master in Pac 133. I had to look this up, so.
Valeria,
40%
yeah.
loss in the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts, and approximately 30% in the Girl Scouts over the last 2 years.
Wow,
So it's been significant.
that's not good.
Do you know Jesse over at 133?
I've been retired for a number of
Oh, okay.
years, so I don't know, but I think you guys are still using it. We bought, when you talked to Pinewood Derby, we bought that track, that metal.
The aluminum track, yeah. Yep.
That was our big goal. It was a very expensive, very big.
It was. We actually did some fundraising before COVID, and because we had a wooden track that actually Councilman Boos in North Ridgeville made decades ago. And when I told him that we were still using it, he was shocked. And we ended up doing some fundraising through some local businesses and that, and raised enough money to purchase an aluminum track to replace the wooden one there. So it's been awesome. Kids love
I
it.
think I was at city council at the time, and on your mailing list, as a matter of fact, you reminded me of that.
Good. Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, very informative. Thank you for all that you're doing.
Commissioner Lundy,
All right.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes,
Commissioner Moore.
No.
16, approve grant in the amount of $5,000 to Keystone Band Boosters Lagrange to purchase much-needed instruments and uniforms and build a band pavilion, a nonprofit adversely affected by COVID pandemic and paid from ARPA other expenses account.
So move.
second.
Discussion.
Yeah, at this point, I'd like to call forward Joseph Savor.
I'm going to go get more tapes. I'll be back.
Can we break that? for
Yeah,
break? That's what
I'll
we're
tell you
doing?
what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. We have to get another tape, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes, okay? Thank you.
No motion.
Just do a break. We can just.
And we've returned. We're picking up with item number 16 for approving a grant in the amount of 5,000 Keystone Band boosters. We did, I'm trying to recall, we did have the motion in the second, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
and then we took a break.
Okay, and
So
then
yes.
we'll bring Representative Joseph Scavor, Vice President of Keystone Band Boosters, to the podium. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Joe Scavor, Vice President of Band Boosters. This is Pat Hunter. She's a booster supporter.
Hey, Pat, good morning.
I've been in the Keystone Band Boosters for 4 years, Vice President for 1 year. I have 2 kids. That's the reason I got involved, because the boosters are a parent-involved organization, all volunteered. We have a 80-member high school marching band. It's the biggest band in Lorain County in our conference. And we have another 70 kids in the middle school band, all taught by one director. So the boosters help to support him as well with helping out, making it all happen. Our budget is $2,000 a year that the school gives us for those 6th through 12th grade classes, and that covers marching band and the concert band. Rest of the funds come from the boosters, our fundraising, which includes concession stands. That's our biggest one. Our indoor sports, we're allowed to do the concession stands and raise funds, where we raise anywhere between $10,000 to $12,000 a year. Since COVID happened, we were unable to do concessions indoor. Schools were not allowed any of that stuff, so we missed the whole year of funding, and we're trying to catch up now. What the boosters do, the uniforms that the band wears are expensive. They're about $1,000 each, and we have 80 members, so that's about 80 grand in uniforms. We just purchased new ones in 2014. They last about 15 to 20 years. We try to get out of each of the uniforms. So the boosters put $5,000 every year away for that, where we look to the future to pay for new uniforms. We buy the raincoats, the hats, the jackets. We have them dry cleaned when they get dirty. At the end of the season, they all get dry cleaned. The boosters pay for all that. We provide the seniors their special senior cords, the flag team, their uniforms and flags, and then the instruments that the kids and their parents can't afford to rent. The school owns, like the sousaphones, the baritone saxes. They're too expensive to rent, so our sousaphones are literally 50 years old at Keystone, and they're to the point we can't have them repaired anymore because the metal is so soft and like you just can't even do anything with them anymore. Each one of those runs between $8,000 to $10,000, and the boosters have a plan over the next 5 years to replace at least 2 of them. We just recently, at our meeting last week, approved a baritone saxophone that the boosters are going to pay $7,500 for, and buy that for the band. We also purchased the sheet music for all the students. We purchased the registration fees for different competitions that the band is in. We do parade of band festivals, one at Midview, one at Firelands, where other Lorain County schools all come together, and the bands get to showcase their talents without a game getting involved. We also provide scholarships for middle school and high school students for their pay-to-play fees. Keystone has a pay-to-play fee for their bands, which is $200 each kid. And then we also give a scholarship for one high school senior to continue his education after high school. All of those things, the boosters, we raise money through pancake breakfast we did at the engine show this past September at the fairgrounds. And we've noticed with the last year, since COVID has settled down a little bit, that we're down about 20 to 30% in our fundraising. Just don't know why. People just aren't coming to basketball games or volleyball games and spending money on pop and candy for their kids. I don't know why. So this year, we also have a pavilion that we planned 3 years ago before the pandemic started. We have nowhere on a Friday night football game for our band to go for shelter if it starts to rain or get crazy weather out there. So we just have an old shed right now that stores our tables and the equipment we use at halftime. After halftime, we feed our band and we feed the visiting team's band a meal, because we know the kids probably haven't ate all day since lunchtime, so it's a long day for those kids, so we feed them hot dogs or pizza. We get them chicken fingers, whatever. Every week's a little bit different. Those are all things that the band boosters do. Our band has grown since 2014, doubled in size. And last year was a big moment for me as a dad watching my kids perform. They got their first #1 rating in the state competition, Keystone's history. So our band is growing. They're very talented kids. We also purchased the instrument trailer. Every game we go to, we got a big trailer that the boosters purchased 4 years ago to put all the instruments in. Last March, our band went to Disney in Florida, and the boosters paid $10,000 toward that so the kids could go march on Main Street for that experience. And so if this money is anything that's given to us, we will put it towards new uniforms, new instruments. Here's one of the sousaphones that we're looking at getting. It's $9,700. We want to get 2 of them. And one of our juniors is a Eagle Scout, trying to become an Eagle Scout. And in his project, he wants to do the pavilion shelter area for us. So we've been trying to work with him to fund that, to pour a concrete pad and then put a pavilion up. Again, so we have somewhere to have shelter and to just, when the other band comes over at halftime, they have somewhere to talk and eat and get to know the other schools. Our mission is to just make a positive difference in the lives of the kids. You know, it's all about the kids. I was not in band in school. I'm a Keystone alumni. I was an athlete. Neither one of my kids are athletes, both band members. So for me, it was really weird to get involved. I just imagined being in baseball games and this and that. Well, now I'm carrying tubas and rolling coolers of water. We give, you know, just anything that needs done on a Friday night. There's about 10 to 12 parents that assist with the one director we have, and we make it happen. But for me, it's just about the kids and making their high school and band experience the best that we can do.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank
Very,
you.
very informative. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Pat. And yeah, it's a big commitment. It's a great program for the kids as well too. And I know that I believe you were the only band booster group that came forward and submitted. So you know, much like we pointed out with the Scouts, we were surprised there weren't others that had made application. But we had a process and a application process and a deadline and all those things. So thanks for your submittal, and thanks for all that you do.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When you said 50 years ago, I thought that sounded like a long time, but then I realized 45 years ago I was playing sousaphone. You getting the white one, the brass one, or what are you guys looking
We're
at?
looking at silver, yeah, the
silver?
silver ones, yeah.
Okay, that's why, because
Yeah.
I'm Googling. There's no way that, you know, so that's why I was looking. I'm like, depending on what style you bought, I guess determines that price.
We have
so.
some fiberglass ones that
Yeah.
just don't perform with the weather change. You know, when
Yeah.
it gets cold on a Friday night.
That's what
it's-
we had was a fiberglass.
Yeah, and our new director, we just got our old director left after 7 years. He went to Berea Mid Park, so we have a 23-year-old new director. His name's John Davis, his first year, who's looks like one of the kids to me. You know, you walk in there, you're like, "Where's the director?" And they're like, "That's the director." Okay, but he comes from a baritone saxophone. That's what he played, and he saw the 2 that we have that are 30+ years old. They get repaired. I mean, they work, but they get repaired probably every other week. There's something wrong with them, and he's like, "We got to upgrade that at least." And we're like, "Okay, well, easy. Those are expensive, you know." And with a $2,000 budget from the schools, that doesn't go very far when you buy one instrument. So we try not to push the kids to have to rent the big instruments. You know, the parents paying $100 or $200 a month just to rent a sousaphone is just not what we want to do. So the school tries to purchase, well, we purchase and give them to the school for years, hopefully 50 more years of playing.
And the other thing too, I think people forget, unless they have kids that are in the school system, like JR, you have little ones, but people forget that, you know, how expensive it is to do these extracurricular things, whether it be band or sports or cheerleading or whatever, and that your set of parents that are there supporting, you guys are the ones out there doing the fundraising. Like you said, you're getting $2,000 from the school, but you're out there doing the fundraising to keep all of this going for the kids and to keep music alive for our kids and for our future.
And for me, that was a
Thank you for
shock.
that.
Getting involved, that was a shock to me because I just assumed it just happened. You know, I didn't, just from the sidelines, you're like, oh, the band's here. You have no idea what goes into it behind the scenes. And I'm even shocked. Every meeting that we have, at booster meetings, I'm just like, oh, we're responsible for that too? Oh, we got to do that too? Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But two
But
reasons,
it's
it's
the
the
parents
kids.
that drive it.
Yeah, the parents drive it, and
Parents have to be the drivers in this, and it's their hard work. And every parent, it's all about the kids.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
for your
you.
Commitment to the kids. Okay, any other questions? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
No.
17, approve granting the amount of $5,000 to Pace Foundation Lorain to upgrade computers, cameras, office space, accounting software, and communication software, and to retrain staff in the post-COVID climate to empower residents and nonprofit adversely affected by COVID pandemic paid from the ARPA other expenses account.
So move.
Second?
Discussion.
Yeah, at this point, I'd like to call up Mark Ballard, Director of the Pace Foundation.
How did I
Good
assume you were
morning,
going to tell
Mark.
me to come up here, so I just started walking, so.
Okay.
Good morning, and thank you all for your time. Thank you for your consideration. I'll just say that at the beginning, and I've got a couple paragraphs I'll read, and then we'll just kind of go off script with that. So Pace Foundation, WNZN Radio, serves the northern Ohio area and provides programming to a diverse community and unserved and underserved groups in this community. WNZN programming emphasizes non-corporate, neglected perspectives and discussions on important local, national, and global issues, reflecting values of peace, social, economic, environmental justice, human rights, democracy, multiculturalism, freedom of expression, and social change. WNCN began in 2014. That's when the station was acquired, but PACE actually started in 2006, so you know that. With the support of many Northern Ohio pastors, community leaders, and volunteers, WNZN was an attempt to give back a small sliver of a public airwaves for non-commercial, local use, Pace Foundation as a radio station. And I'll stop right there and say, during the COVID time, as you guys know, I guess my COVID experience was pretty public because with the commissioners and what they were doing with the health department, they used our story and our platform to kind of get the word out to a community that's sometimes distrusting, and they need to hear it from people that they know, love, and trust before they'll hear it from the masses. So we were very, very instrumental there. We worked very closely with our hospitals, with our MARS board. We worked very closely with the health department to get the message out to a community. Never did we go off the air one day, not even when we went through some of our own tragedies. But we had to pivot very quickly and teach people how to broadcast and operate from home. Fielded lots of phone calls from the community who had questions that nobody really had answers to. So during that time, we also would do a gala every year that would probably raise us more than $25,000 a year to help us support because we're non-commercial. We get our money from listeners and the community at large. But during that time, we never missed. We did pivot. We sent people home, and we sent the equipment home with them, so we didn't miss any broadcasts, and we became the #1 companion to a lot of people in this community. So I guess we could all have coffee and go deeper into what we do in radio, but during the COVID time, as we answered this grant, those were the things that we really took a hit on, but we still had to serve our community. So I would thank you for your consideration on this grant.
Yeah, and thank you for all that you're doing in the community, and I know that was a very rough time, losing your father and a good man in the community, and I know everything kind of happened suddenly, but you were one of the first people in the community who stepped up and said it's important for me to tell this story so that people know how quickly things can unfold and go in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
thank you for doing that. So your father's greatly missed in the community.
Tell me.
Very good man.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mark.
Okay.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
No.
18, approve grant in the amount of $5,000 in Kingdom Outreach Training Center, Inc., Sheffield Township, for operations of the Worship and Prayer Center in classrooms and kitchen and nonprofit adversely affected by the COVID pandemic, paid from the ARPA other expenses account.
So move.
Second?
Discussion.
At this point, I'd like to call up Mitch Fallis, President of the Kingdom Outreach Training Center, also known as Councilman Mitch Fallis. Dual titles.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to address you today about our request for ARPA funding for the Kingdom Outreach Training Center, and also to address the public as well on this issue. So we are a fledgling organization. We incorporated in the state of Ohio in September of 2021. We did get our 501c3 status in May of 2022 through the help of Mr. Januzzi. We had a consultant help us organize our organization. It's a faith-based organization, so we have policies and procedures in place that are geared specifically towards that. I guess I'd like to explain a little bit about our organization by using the names Kingdom Outreach Training Center, talk a little bit about each one of those words. Kingdom relates to God's kingdom. Outreach really relates to reaching out to different sectors of the community with the saving, healing power of the Bible. We also train people on how to go out and do outreach. And then center is our physical location where we do a lot of our work. Our mission is to reach the lost, hurting, and infirm, and then equip others to do that. What makes us uniquely different, I think, from many other organizations, we are not a church. We're an outreach center. I don't know if you all are familiar with the Billy Graham Association, but we're like that. There's people from other churches that come together and then do outreach. That's what we do. And our focus is to reach folks who would be afraid to walk into a church building because they're afraid the daggone place is going to crumble on their head. And I say that jokingly. But there's some people that just would not do that. So our focus is to invite people in a non-church setting or different types of setting to be able to share the gospel with them. Our first key event that we had was in December of last year, December 2021, and it was a dinner theater, and what we had there was we had a play, we had music that was on a video screen where the people could actually sing along, and we had some very professional singers be a part of that play. And it was our first event. I was very, very, very nervous about it coming off the right way, but I'd like to share this with you. Everybody who attended that event, when they left, they felt uplifted because of the presentation, because of the music, because of the interaction. And that's what we're all about. We're about impacting the person at the very core value of who they are, if they're lost, hurting, or forgotten. And that was our first event. Our second major, and we use that as a fundraiser as well. We don't receive any offerings. We have to go out and solicit funds to keep our organization running. Our second major public event was in February of 2022, and it was an awards dinner comedy theater. Again, something a little different. There's not a lot of comedy theater, dinner theaters in the area, so we had that, and we highlighted 10 local, most of them were faith-based organizations in our community. And I encouraged the participants to take a photograph of each one of those organizations and their contact numbers so they could have it on their phone if they ever had a need to reach out to those organizations for help, if they had a family member or friend that could use their help. And so we presented the organizations to the public. They got a chance to tell a little bit about their organizations. It was pretty amazing to me because they told a little bit about how they impacted people on an individual level in the community, and it was very impactful. Actually, some folks in the audience asked to stand up and sort of give testimonies as how they were impacted positively by the organizations that we were highlighting that evening. So other things we do at our Kingdom Centers, we have workshops. We have workshops on discipleship, training. One of our most recent ones had to do with how do you interpret the Bible in terms of numbers and words, et cetera, et cetera. And we also had training based upon your word of the day, which is how someone can understand what their purpose in life is. And so we try and guide people with training along those lines. What else? We partner with a lot of different organizations. There's an organization run by Ron Sandoval. It's called Pray for Lorain. The whole concept there is to raise the level of prayer for our community, and he's expanding from Lorain to Lorain County. They pray for government, schools, the community at large, that we would be prosperous and be peaceful at an individual level. We have a partnership with the International Federation of Chaplains and Human Rights, and that organization comes to our facility, and they train folks on how to become a federal chaplain. Once that training is done, and I could show this to you. We're supposed to carry these things, but we get a certification and we get a badge. And the importance thing of that is it's like a key. If we get called and we need to go in the hospital, or if there's some disturbance in the street, we can assist police officers. Our oath is, if there's anywhere that we're walking and we see somebody abused, that's the human rights issue of it. We are required to interject in that situation, whether we verbally try to, stop abusive behavior, or we have to call the police department. So that's another way our organization is impacting the community. We're under the federal organization of FEMA. They can call us to help if there's a disaster somewhere in the area. They would call us to help and go out and pray with folks in the community or help in any way we can. So we partner with the International Federation of Chaplains. And also there's a women ministry called Healing Hearts. They have probably quarterly workshops at our facility, and they're offered free to women. One of the ones that was pretty successful is they had like a spa day or pamper day, and so they go out and they give free services there, and then we have companies that come and actually provide those services. So it's just a way of actually promoting businesses, but actually helping people have a nice calm day, and then there's an opportunity to minister and speak with folks along those lines. We also have a little education center where we have one-on-one tutoring. We have one little classroom there, and that's one of the areas that we want to beef up our facility on. Let me see. Again, we are not a church. We don't get offerings. All of our board members are required to make a monthly contributions to our organization. They are financially invested in the Kingdom Outreach Training Center. We have 10 people on our board. Actually, we have 9. One just resigned. We have 10 people. We had 10 people on our board. I know 9 of the 10. One gentleman I've recently known, but I've known these people for 10, 20 years, 30 years. And they are all solid ministers of the gospel. So that was one of the reasons why I decided to join. That's a little bit about our organization, where we're going. We got started, we had to stumble out of the blocks because of COVID, and so we are here today asking for some money. Again, we got chartered in September of 2021, and we really couldn't do any fundraising activities, public fundraising activities, or we also receive money by the rent of our facilities for education, and we have, on Monday nights, we have a prayer hour for 2 hours. Part of it's training folks on how to pray, and then we actually do the pray, and then we have a praise and worship on Friday. So we rent our facilities out, and we couldn't do that the first 4 months of our existence. So that was how COVID had impacted our organization. So I think I'll let it rest there and open it up for questions if you have any questions regarding our organization.
Thank you for all that background information.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, thanks. You're impacting a lot of lives in the community and bring people together to lift them up to get through these difficult times. And, I know I've worked with you on other projects in the community, and I know how passionate you are about helping people and helping get through the tough times. And so I'm not surprised that you're very actively involved in this group as well.
Thank you.
So, any other questions? I think we're good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your time and consideration. Have a
Commissioner
great
Lundy,
day.
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Nope.
Number 19, approve a grant in the amount of $5,000 to Men of Courage, Elyria, to purchase vehicles to transport youth to group sessions on a nonprofit adversely affected by COVID pandemic and paid from ARPA other expenses account.
So move.
Second?
Discussion.
Yeah, at this time, I'd like to call forward Anthony Jones, President, CEO, Men of Courage. Good morning to you, sir. Sorry to keep you waiting so long.
Good morning.
It's not a problem. I'm Tony Shoulders. Anthony had to attend a group meeting over at Clearview
okay.
That's
School
on leave. I
District.
didn't
So
know.
yeah, so
Like, you don't
he-
look like Anthony.
yeah, no. He had. I think his meeting started at the group
sorry
meeting started
for
at
the mistake.
10:40.
Oh, okay.
So I'm setting in for him and stuff. I'm Tony Shoulders. I'm Anthony's chief of staff of Men of Courage. Also, we've changed our title a little bit. It's Men of Courage and Women of Courage as well. We've added a women's piece to our organization here. When we got started, it was during the pandemic. We were in Lorain High School and a few of the junior highs that got starting off on ground level with our organization. So during that pandemic, we were unable to do any fundraising or raise any type of money for our programs. But we still continue to mentor our kids through phone calls, text messaging, video chat, in that way. We are now, our organizations have grown since then. We have roughly about 20, 25 men and women on our organization, and a very diverse group of men and women, a very diverse group in terms of careers. We have a partnership with the Lorain Police Department, Lorain Fire Department. Also with we're doing a project right now with the juvenile court system with Tim Weitzel and Donna Rivera. And what that entails, we go into the DH every Tuesday with a male and female mentor, and we talk to the group of kids every Tuesday, both male and female. In addition to that, part of that program, we have a Thursday group in Elyria and in Lorain. We meet at the library. We meet with kids every Thursday for 1 hour, and we talk about various things: goal setting, police relationship, anger management, drug abuse, financial literacy. Those types of things are in discussion with our kids. Also, we are in presently right now. We're in Clearview School District, Lorain School District at Garfield Elementary, Oberlin School District. Will be starting there in a couple weeks, and we will be starting in Elyria in January. Also, we've reached out to Vermillion. We're doing some mentoring with one of their students out there as well, with one of our police officers. So we are, also in terms of fundraising, we talked about the money we were trying to raise, trying to get a vehicle for our kids to transport them. We want to get office space. I'm getting tired of working out of the back of my Jeep and, and meeting people at restaurants and things like that. So we're trying to secure some funds for that as well. Having said that, we do have a fundraiser coming up this Friday over at the shipyards in Lorain, and it's titled Children Are Our Future. So we hope to make some money from that as well. So any questions? I thank you for your time.
Questions? I know I've heard a lot of good things about what you're doing in the community, and anytime I think we can connect the youth and have some good conversations about being good citizens in the community, I think that's important. Having good mentors as well too is very important, and glad to see it's men of courage and women of courage.
Yes.
There you go. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the time.
Yeah, make sure Anthony buys you lunch, since he
Oh, yeah,
got
he's
to
gonna
cut
go
out.
big
and
time.
you had to sit. You had to
Yeah.
sit through this, okay?
Exactly.
Thank you
So,
much.
So,
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
No.
20, approve grant amount of $10,000 Lorraine Civic Center Committee, Inc., Lorraine, to continue to serve as an anchor of the arts sector for theater in downtown Lorraine, a nonprofit adversely affected by COVID pandemic, and paid from the ARPA expenses account.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Okay, I know I was looking, I don't see Rebecca Rodriguez. Are you going to fill in, Tom?
I think Tom was
Okay.
like,
Take two.
we
with
got lots.
Tom.
We got lots of people filling in for people today.
too.
So.
I can't speak for the Palace, but I would speak on behalf of the Palace.
Okay.
I did reach out to their director when I didn't see that their grant writer was here. Obviously, the Palace went through the same exact thing through COVID that we did, and I think that throughout COVID, they were very creative, did some outdoor things underneath the marquee, but they essentially had to close the theater for about a year and a half. I know that they're, if you look at their calendar now, they're chock full. They're doing everything. They do youth theater. They're doing community movies. They're musical acts, 4 or 5 nights a week. So I think that, sticking up for another fellow Lorain organization that's our neighbor is a good thing to do. They're doing a great job. They were really in financial straits about 5 years ago, and they're doing very well now. So I think that everybody knows what a jewel that is in Lorain and what a magnificent theater. So I'm sure that if they were here, they would say the same things and probably give you a little better facts and figures.
And what
But
you're not seeing, Tom, is on the application, which says the palace lost over 1.3 million in production revenue due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
If they were here, I'm sure they have better numbers than me, but I felt it necessary to at least say something on their behalf, and I thank you for letting me do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Yeah, it's in 2020 alone, they lost 800,000, but as you stated in their application is 1.3 million overall they've lost since the pandemic. So they certainly have been negatively impacted.
Yeah. And we can't say enough how many times we've mentioned it up here, how much we support the local theater, and if we have these dollars for, as my report says, the negative economic impacts of COVID-19, I can't see, a better fit for use of these dollars.
And
That's why I'm gonna go see Robert Cray on November 8th.
Oh, cool.
Yep, love using my money.
Thank you, Tom. You didn't have to run off. We could have asked you more questions and put you on the spot. No,
You know, I'm just, I think you're getting picked on, yeah, so.
And I guess just for clarification for the media too, that, these are federal dollars that are passing through the county. They're not county dollars.
they're
I
not
can't stress
county.
that enough. The federal government has sent these Rescue Act dollars to the county. They've asked counties across the country to identify those organizations that are helping the county get through the pandemic. And those federal dollars they're not our dollars. They're dollars that are supposed to go back out into the community to lift up the community and get the community through the pandemic. So just for clarification, those are not county dollars, those are federal dollars.
And that's why I'm voting no, because the argument I have is how we're spending those dollars, whether they're for infrastructure or what have you. So not against these organizations, just to let you know, Mike, so you don't start dogging me out.
Clerk?
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Nope.
Under Community Development, 21, authorize approved payment in the amount of $14,988 to the Ohio Office of Community Development for a household at 4135 Stony Ridge Road, Avon, who was determined to be ineligible under the CHIP Program Year 18 grant agreement and paid from the General Economic Development, alternatively ED Planning account.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Okay.
See, Drake's coming out.
Yeah, Drake, did you want to
You've been sitting here
give us
too.
more information?
Good morning.
Morning.
This is, Commissioners, this is pertaining to one of the applicants that we provided services to during the fiscal year 2018 grant cycle. We were just went through a monitoring by the state of Ohio, Department of Development, and they looked and said that we should have calculated one of the household members' income differently than the way that we calculated it. The daughter of the homeowner was working a part-time contractual job with the schools, and the income was very finite because of that contract. It was, again, it was part-time, and so when we calculated it, the household met the income criteria. We did reach out to our consultant that we're working with on this, and they reviewed it and came back and concurred with that and didn't tell us anything different, and so we moved forward with the project. But during the monitoring, they determined that we should have calculated it different and actually annualized her income, even though it looked a little bit different. That's what they said we had to do. We did have additional discussions with them recently, and at the end of the day, they said that it needed to be annualized and therefore would put them over, meaning this household would be ineligible, and ask us then to pay that money back.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Drake.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Under EMA Homeland Security, adopt the federal-approved Lorain County 2022 Hazard Mitigation Plan.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Under Job and Family, authorize sub-grant agreement with Lorain County Neighborhood Alliance, Lorain, in the amount of $60,500 for the case management of the Ukrainian refugees in Lorain County using TANF funds. This is effective, should state effective retroactive October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 23. Authorize director to execute this agreement on behalf of the Board of Prosecutors' approval as to form and paid from the TANF account.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner.
Yes. I was really struggling with this issue because we have refugees here and whether or not we should be using our dollars when a lot of the county is suffering. I talked to Andrew Lippian, who's very involved in this, the Ukrainian board, I think you go to, Commissioner. And he said he's pretty much talked to everybody that's involved. And I kind of explained to him, I had our county administrator reach out to our Job and Family Services Director to find out in regards to TANF funds, and kind of to piggyback what you said earlier, these are federal dollars that come back. So then I started digging some more, and I realized that we've been sending money back, and it's not getting out into the community. And so I got this information, and I realized what happened is COVID did have an effect on our staff in order, how do you reach out to the community so that we can get these needed dollars? This is basically, TANF stands for Temporary Aid for Needy Families. So these 50 people or these 10 families that are refugees are in need. And then, this is my struggle, okay? So I'm sitting there looking through, I'm digging more, and I realize, why should we be sending federal dollars back and I've talked to Andrew about this. He said, these are people that want to work in Lorain County. They're waiting for the paperwork from the feds so they can get their work permits, so they can be productive members of Lorain County. Now, with that argument, I said, I can get behind that. But at first, when I reviewed this, I felt it was more like we're taking money from our citizens, which we're not. Another thing we should probably be working on forward is how do we stop sending money back to the state? How do we stop sending money back, and how do we get that money back out into the community that needs it? For example, last year in 2021, we took care of about 3,000 families for Coats for Kids. The Boys and Girls Club worked with Job and Family Services. This year, they did not. So that, I believe, is why there's a lot more money going back. And it's really no fault of anybody's. I think the Boys and Girls Club had a merger. Job and Family Services have been strained on their staffing. I don't think the ball was lost. I just think the timing just didn't coincide, is what my research has found out already. So I'll be supporting it, but I wanted my board to hear this is the struggle I went through, because I really struggled thinking, why should we be helping? Why not the nonprofits? Why shouldn't they step up? Well, they have. And every fundraiser they have, that those dollars are getting smaller and smaller. And so I feel that this is a good thing that we're doing. It's federal dollars that will probably have to be sent back, so we might as well help some refugees that want to work, and they want to be a part of our community, and they want to pay taxes. So I just wanted to make that statement, so.
Okay, I too have done some research on this topic. In Jobs and Family Services, Lorain County provides assistance and support service to low-income families to help them overcome immediate barriers to self-sufficiency. TANF stands for Temporary Assistance to Needy Families. The TANF dollars can be used to assist the Ukrainian refugees that are settled into Lorain County with housing, food services, medical needs, and assimilation into a country that is unfamiliar to them. All refugees that will be assisted have a legal refugee status with the U.S. government. So here we are again with a partnership with the wonderful folks over at Neighborhood Alliance. They were among the first to learn of the Ukrainian refugees' presence here in Lorain County, and because of the nonprofit's ability to deal with housing issues, it was a likely partnership that grew. And these families are coming to Lorain County to flee their war-torn country, and at a minimum, I'm in the Lorain County Board of Commissioners and myself, we can choose to commit this small amount from the TANF allocation and help fund this case management position and assist them in navigating all of the systems that they will be dealing with settling into Lorain County. And, you know, is the city of Lorain dubs themselves the international city and is home to over 70 nationalities. This action today ensures that these Ukrainian refugees are welcomed and successful in Lorain County. And it's also important to note, I always like to thank our staff when I get a chance over at Jobs and Family Services. I mean, those folks over there really, they perform mentally exhausting and draining work. But they will tell you also how fulfilling it is to help people and to assist the families that come to them for help in their time of need. So I just wanted to take a moment today to acknowledge our staff over at JFS for all the hard work that they do for the residents of Lorain County.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. I would echo those thoughts. You talk about a deeply committed team of people who put their heart and soul into helping people in this county. It's certainly the Jobs and Family Services team over there. I think it's important to note that there are probably 20 individuals that are designated to work on the temporary assistance for needy family programs, the TANF programs. So for those 20 that are assisting residents throughout the community, this is making possible another individual that will basically be a caseworker for the Ukrainian families through the Lorain County for Ukraine. We are aware of probably 15 families that have located here. However, I can tell you we are learning more and more of families that are coming here. Their churches are aware of it. Their schools are aware of it. But they are not aware of the assistance they can receive. And that assistance they can receive, the federal government, the state government says this is permissible and possible, and we want to make sure they're aware of it so that they can receive that. These folks are leaving a war-torn country. You know, I hate to think of what would happen if, you know, Illyria was bombed out and all of a sudden we had to jump on a plane and go to some other country and take our kids with us and get them into a school system and be immersed in a whole new culture and a new way of life. You know, it's tragic enough and stressful enough for these families, enough turmoil that we need to do all we can to make the transition smoothly. The biggest challenge we've had is with the federal immigration laws, making sure that we can actually get them into employment, but that's taking time because of all the paperwork that needs to be done and the processing that needs to be taking place at the federal government so that they can actually be earning a living. The jobs are certainly there, as we know, but at the end of the day, a lot of this always comes down to the children. You know, the children follow mom and dad where they go, or maybe mom because dad had to stay behind and continue to fight in the war. So we need to make sure that they're getting the assistance that they need and that they make the transition. And, you know, I can only imagine how tough it was for many members of our families who came to this country from other countries, getting started, getting up on their feet. I'm sure there are a lot of people who helped them along the way. I'm sure they were met with some resistance and unkind words, but, you know, they made it through. We're here today, and we're proud to be home to the international city. This was pointed out, over 70 different groups are represented in the international city of nationalities. And so it's all part of what we're taught when we go to church on Sunday. We are our brother's keeper, and we need to help lift these folks up. I think that things are going well. There's lots of challenges. I can't say enough good things about Alicia Foss and the Lorain County Neighborhood Alliance. There are lots of stories about the challenges that have surfaced with these families making the transition. And I can tell you, regardless of the time of day or night, day of the week, Alicia jumps right in to help out. She has done amazing work. Victor Leandri at El Centro has done amazing work. You know, Don Walter at my office has helped to coordinate a lot of this. She has done amazing work. And we've just tried to make life better for these families to get them through probably the most tragic and difficult times they'll ever have in their lives. And hopefully we can eventually get to peace and they can get back to their homeland. Or if they don't and decide to stay here, we want them to have the best opportunities possible, make sure the kids and the family are taken care of, make sure they get employment, and that they become you know, positive and productive members of our community. So I think this is a wise investment. Any other questions, comments?
The subject of the TANF dollars, going back to the federal government, I just want to address real quick. The TANF dollars, which are, again, the temporary assistance to needy families, those are allocated in two ways. In the yearly allocation for JFS that they receive regular TANF dollars and administrative TANF dollars. And the only reason the county is heavy in its regular allocation at this point of the year is because for the first time in years, there were no vendor bidders for the school uniform program. As the commissioners may remember, we had that come up last year, but this year we couldn't get any bidders. Again, probably just another outcome of the supply chain issues with COVID-19. But that program, just so the public knows, is an approximate spend of $2 million. And as many of you know, with these types of dollars that the state allocates, that if what you don't spend must go back at the end of the fiscal year. So the regular fiscal year for JFS runs until September 30th, expiration. JFS is operating under an extension until December 31st, 2022 to continue to spend down those dollars. But you can't roll any of the regular expenditures out of the administrative dollars until the regular expenditure account is exhausted. And again, we didn't have the bidding this year for the school uniforms, so we're a little behind spending down those dollars if you don't have bidders.
Yeah, it's an important asterisk to put on it, for sure. So, thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions, comments? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Sanitary engineer, 24, approve an increase of $173,256.03 for a revised funding total of $2,344,926.03 for the costs associated with the Middle Ridge Road Sanitary Sewer Extension Project due to process of finalizing the quantities and change orders, which will be paid from the Q Construction account.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Don want to talk, or?
Nope.
No. Okay, he's looking down, he's ignoring us.
You said no.
Oh, you're good? Okay.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
25, execute agreement with Ohio Environmental Protection Agency in accordance with Section 6111.14 of the Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 374542 of the Administrative Code for a plan review and certification for Lorain County to extend its sewage system by increasing the number of connections to its system and add pump stations.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Under Stormwater, 26, approve granting the amount of $25,000 to Village of LaGrange to match the commitment of the Village of LaGrange in the continuing construction progress on municipal building drainage plan, 3-phase retention pond at the Village Municipal Building and paid from the ARPA other expenses account.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Don, anything you
No,
want
Don.
to add to that?
Don's here. and
Sorry, buddy.
I hate to do this to you, Don.
Yeah, running up there. Jeez.
He wants to go home.
Thank you, Board. Appreciate the time. I know it's been a bit. This is a nice project the village has been working on for quite some time. They've actually redesigned it to get more efficiency out of it. And by that, I mean they got rid of electric pumps. That would have been a problem. They were able to reconfigure the outlet. This is attached to the Kellner ditch that we are working on improving. And they've been able to drive their costs down. And with the changes, they've expanded the footprint. It will hold, after all 3 phases are done, over 1 million gallons or 3 acre-feet of water. The original design, when it was presented to us, basically took the water out of their residents' basements and put it into the hole in the ground. And then they'd let it out into the ditch, but it wasn't providing any real benefit to the township. With the redesign and the improvements that they've made, they are now withholding more water, reducing the peak flows that are leaving the village and going into the township, actually providing some relief to the township as well. So that's why in my recommendation to this board, I did refer to it as regional. It is not benefiting solely the village, but also the township of LaGrange as well as the township of Carlisle that are downstream. And this will also build off the project we're proposing to do along Kellner Ditch to improve drainage in the area. And at $25,000 being matched by $25,000 of ARPA from the village, this is probably one of the few projects I've seen that have been like the gold standard for what I was asked to look for. Are they investing their ARPA funds in it? We're investing our ARPA funds in it. So with that, I appreciate you taking this up and look forward to, hopefully, I'm not presupposing too much in approval. Thank you. Any questions?
And Mr. President, just to give a little background on this, I think it was Linda Bales, you and I talked about this, Don
Yep.
came into the office, and I know she met with me, met with Commissioner Moore that day, and I'm sure met with Commissioner Lundy another day. And I'd asked, this was back in June, and I think I was asking you over and over, Don, is this one going to be on the list?
Yeah.
And the long and short of it is it got put in with the Kellner ditch file, correct, Don? And we just kind of sort of lost
This,
track of it.
this project was not originally under the consideration on the stormwater. You're correct, because it wasn't in front of me. So yes.
It was.
It
very
was
file,
never.
Unfortunately.
Yep.
So,
It was.
But we didn't forget. I kept asking. I'm sure the other commissioners kept asking until we found it and located it. So if there's any questions in the media, why wasn't it included in the 6.5 million? That was our intention. We just had to find the paperwork. So we got to it as soon as we could. Thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
I was excited when you sent that email and said you found it.
Yeah. And the township geez. The village has been a great partner on this. I've been working with the mayor. Linda Bales has kept me informed, as well as Administrator Mary Kay Gates. And she was the one who sat down and then went over and made some clarifications as well on the changes they had made to the design from the first time they had presented it to us a couple of years ago. So this has been something they've been planning on for a long time. And they finally have an ability and a plan that will work, that we can invest in and benefit the greater community.
Great. Any other questions? Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
27, advertised for bids for Minkle Road easement storm sewer. Notice to be in the Chronicle on November 17th and December 1st, and open up 2 p.m. on January 5th, 2023. This will be for new catch basins, storm sewers, excavation, grading, erosion control, and site restoration.
Easy for you to say. So move.
Blow it up, we wouldn't have one, right? I mean.
Don, do you want to add anything to this one? You're good? Okay.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Children's Services, 28, authorize and rescind various personnel to utilize the agency's MasterCard for the year 22, not to exceed 2,500 in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code and their permissible policy.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
We've reached the public comment section of the meeting. Anyone sign up for public comment? No. Reports from administration. County Administrator J.R. White.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Just a brief announcement. This coming Veterans Day, Lorain County will be joining other counties throughout the nation in support of Operation Green Light. That's for veterans and for awareness. And we're going to commemorate this occasion by lighting the historic county courthouse green from November 7 to till November 13. This initiative is meant to shine a light on the issues veterans face across the country and the resources available to them at the county, state, and federal levels. Operation Green Light allows us to show our gratitude and support for the men and women who've sacrificed so much for our freedoms. Veterans continue to serve the country in American Legion, VFW, religious groups, civil services, and by functioning as county veteran service officers in 29 states. That's to help former service members to access more than $52 billion in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year. So we'd like to encourage all the citizens to participate with us by putting a green light on your porch or in the window of your place of business or home in support of the veterans. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does the Deputy Administrator have anything? No? You're good? Okay. Yeah, okay. Sounds good. Oh, Mr. Petticorn, our Assistant County Prosecutor.
I have no report today,
Oh.
Commissioner, but if the board chooses to go into executive session, I believe we can discuss the potential purchase or sale of public property, and there is one piece of pending litigation I could update the board on if the board chooses to go into executive.
Great. Sounds good, sir. Commissioners' reports. Commissioner Moore? Nope. Okay. Commissioner Hung?
Oh, yes, I have a report today, Mr. President, thank you. First, I'd like to thank J.R. Lee and Nancy Lee from the Lorain Community Senior Center. They sent us a nice letter of thanks on their American Rescue Plan Act grant, which is very nice of them. Also like to recognize, I've got received some really nice thank you cards in the mail from K Kids in Wellington. So I wanted to thank Emma for her very nice handwritten thank you card, and Area. So
cool.
Thank you very much, guys, for those thank you cards. Next, it's a little bit lengthy. I
That's okay.
apologize, Mr.
No,
President.
take your time.
Next, I'm going to read you an excerpt from the Lorain County Board of Commissioners meeting on January 27th, 2021. The excerpt you will hear me read is quoting the meeting minutes that are posted on the LorainCountyOhio.gov website for all residents to obtain and read for themselves. The excerpt I will read from the minutes of the meeting on January 27th, 2021 is that of Commissioner David J. Moore. In quoting the minutes, Commissioner Moore said everybody now agrees that just under $4.2 million was voted on last month for nonprofits and has reported agrees that it was general fund dollars. He asked Assistant County Prosecutor Dan Petticord was the $4.2 million COVID money. Mr. Petticord said to his knowledge and the documents presented to him in November and December, and the money that was rescinded came from the general fund. Commissioner Moore said that these were general fund dollars used to operate this county, and everyone agrees that the COVID money has been spent. The $16.6 million went out into our community and spent. Now that everyone agrees, we should be spending our general fund monies to operate, not giving it to our nonprofits. Now there is a Congresswoman, Marcy Kaptur. She is now getting involved, stating we need to fund this grant money. It is not grant money that was issued. It is general fund money for the operations of our county. So the fact that Democrats now control Congress, Senate, and presidency, he will publicly ask for them to please send them $4.2 million from the federal government and want these 25 nonprofits to get the money they feel they deserve. He went on to say if she is willing to do that, fine, and would love to take that money away from the federal government all day, every day, and would love to take that support all day. Close quote. I spoke on this matter of the rescinded funds on March 17th, 2021. The meeting minutes are posted on the LorainCountyOhio.gov website for all residents to obtain and read for themselves. In those minutes, I outlined the actions taken in November and December of 2020 were not complete. They were not complete because they didn't contain the necessary provisions for accounting and clarity of the usage of funds. In my statement, I recognize that President Biden signed into law the American Rescue Plan Act. I also informed the residents that the board will not vote on and grant or award any dollar amount unless the resolution includes the proper language and account number and the actual document before us prior to voting. I also assured the entities that qualified, that the entities that qualified for relief would be considered. That was my commitment. Lorain County received approximately $60 million in American Rescue Plan Act federal funding. The commissioners have identified and invested in water, sewer, and IT infrastructure in the county. The commissioners passed an $800,000 grant for the final design phase of the Quarry Road Sanitary Trunk Sewer Extension. The commissioners recently passed $6.5 million grant to go directly to projects recommended by Don Romanchik, our stormwater director. And for the record, in an interview with Brad Dickin over at the Chronicle, I did go on the record and share with him that my commitment as a commissioner was $8 million to the water and stormwater management resolution. But ultimately, my fellow commissioners chose a lesser $6.5 million investment. And that's okay. The commissioners also passed a $3 million investment in the county IT network and virtual fence and security protocols surrounding the infrastructure of our 911 system. The Commissioners passed a $1.6 million investment to upgrade the current CAD computer-aided dispatch system to dispatch fire and emergency medical assets to Lorain County residents. The Commissioners made a $1 million commitment over 3 years to seniors in Lorain County with an American Rescue Plan grant award to the Lorain County Office on Aging. I, along with Commissioner Lundy, have committed American Rescue Plan Act grants to small businesses that have suffered the negative effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, as per the program guidelines. Commissioner Moore has voted present to most, if not all, of these small business grant resolutions. I, along with Commissioner Lundy, on August 24th, 2021, supported and committed to allocate $4 million for the construction of a crisis stabilization center aimed at helping those struggling with addiction and mental health issues. Commissioner Moore voted present. The statute and the Treasury Department regulations make abundantly clear that governments can provide individual charitable nonprofits with aid as recipients of financial assistance for their organizations, as well as hire nonprofits as providers of assistance to others. I, along with Commissioner Lundy, have committed American Rescue Plan Act grants for nonprofits, and many of those that received grant awards were those that had funds rescinded in early 2021. I want to make it abundantly clear to the residents of Lorain County that the American Rescue Plan Act dollars have been awarded based on criteria, guidelines, and principles set forth in the legislation signed into law. I also want to remind the public that I have followed through on the commitment I made to the residents of Lorain County while on the campaign trail in 2020. I've kept my promise to support our hardworking men and women who serve as fire, police, medical support, and safety forces in our communities. The topic of upgrading the CAD, the utility trailer for our EMA, all of these things were talked about on the campaign trail in 2020. I didn't forget. I listened. I worked with my colleagues, and I delivered these much-needed upgrades to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of the residents I represent. I kept my pledge that I made on March 17, 2021 to the nonprofits. And yes, these nonprofits are our partners in the community doing good work for our residents. I kept my word. I worked in a bipartisan and non-political manner to ensure the American Rescue Plan Act grant dollars are being used in the manner they were intended. As I read to you earlier, Commissioner Moore made these nonprofits promises he didn't keep. The question is not mine to ask of Commissioner Moore, but maybe the nonprofits or somebody in the media should be asking him why he made a pledge and a promise in a huge statement on January 27th to the federal government, essentially saying, send us the money. Well, the American Rescue Plan Act did just that, and Commissioner Moore just continues to vote present.
Okay. As the chair, I've always believed that if a colleague's name is mentioned, that colleague should have the opportunity to respond. Commissioner?
Yeah, we're doing little notes back and forth. I wanted to make sure. I told him I was going to be nice, so.
Well, it's up to you. If you wish to respond.
No. Yeah, I'll respond. The beauty of this is I love the fact, because I thought about this back in January when I said that Marcy Kaptur was furious. All the Democrat websites were exposing how I said that this money was, she said it was intended to be. So the fact that when the Congress got together and put it in the new language, it's nice that I'm getting credit for that. In August 18th, in the proposed budget for how we're going to spend the ARPA funds, we allocated $5 million for the nonprofits. But there were strings attached. You know, if your community, let's say somebody in Amherst, wanted $50,000 to help out with lawns and some kids, then the city of Amherst had to come up with that $50,000. The concept back in August 18th, on the day that was discussed, it was the $5 million basically was going to turn into $10 million. Okay, as we now know, there is no rhyme or reason on how we're passing this money out. Mr. Ballard was just here. He did a lot of great work in his community, And as he said, there's really no trust anymore in some of these communities. And he did a good job during the pandemic. You heard what year he formed his nonprofit. Some of these nonprofits were actually formed during the pandemic and received 10 times more money. I was voting present because I'm not going to vote yes or no. I just said, you know what? Then I got angry, and I thought, you know what? I'm now voting no. So if you notice, I voted no on the dogs today. I voted no, even though I support these organizations. I don't think there was any rhyme or reason. So the bottom line is, I can't wait till November 9th. Okay, folks, so we can get back to the business here. So thanks for allowing me to at least speak. Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
I guess just for the clarification on the numbers, we'd allocated 1.5 for the nonprofits and 1.5 for the businesses in the community. Yeah, my report will be brief this morning. Just basically like to touch on having had the opportunity to speak at the Senior Center in Sheffield Lake. And I think one of the greatest challenges one of the challenges we have as commissioners is trying to educate the community about what the county commissioners do and how county government operates. As we always indicate, we're not Commissioner Gordon. We don't have any contacts with Batman, or we're not a fire commissioner, police commissioner, as sometimes people think that we are. Also, I think there are a lot of folks who, believe that we can just pick up the phone, tell the mayor of Avon what to do, or tell the township trustees in Columbia what to do, and it just doesn't work that way. Now, we got a letter recently from a lady that I'll be having a conversation with, who she's concerned about some shooting that's going on at some range near her home in the township, and she wants us to pass a law or pass an ordinance, and we don't do that. We basically can only operate under what the legislature says we can do. And even during the pandemic, I remember getting the letters and the phone calls, the angry phone calls saying, why don't you require all the communities in the county declare an emergency, require everybody to wear a mask walking in here and walking in there? And I said, we have no ability to do that. Can't tell the sheriff what to do with the jail. The sheriff runs the jail, all those things. I can go down the whole long list. So just want to make everybody aware of that. So we had that discussion, and then I had an interesting discussion with a lady who told me that she was a snowbird. So then I said, well, I'm sure you're getting ready to, head to Florida or Carolinas or someplace warm. She said, no, this is where we snowbird. I said, I'm a little confused. And she said, yeah, we live in North Dakota, and every year we come here with family members in the wintertime. So if you think you need to be snowbirding someplace else, know that there are people in North Dakota that actually come here in the wintertime. So, but it was fun. It was a Halloween theme, and Mayor Bring was there, and Councilwoman Rosa Gee, and the county did help with that project on the lakefront in their community center. It's always nice to see the big bank of windows so you can see the beautiful lake behind that facility. So it was an enjoyable event, and as I always say, we can never thank our seniors enough for all they've done in the community, and should support them in every way possible. So that completes my report. Yes, sure, of course, Commissioner.
I forgot to add with JR and Nancy Lee from the Senior Center,
Right.
that they are having their spaghetti dinner on Sunday the 30th, entertainment with the Polka Pirates at 12 noon. So we may be stopping, I know I may be stopping in there to see that, and we certainly appreciate all that they do over there at the Lorain Senior
Said the
Center.
Polka Pirates?
It says entertainment by the Polka Pirates.
Oh, wow. I won't be
12 noon.
won't be dancing of the polka. I'm not a good dancer to begin with, so, okay.
I meant to mention that before. in the letter.
Okay. Clerk's report.
Tuesday, you'll have your investment advisory meeting at 11 a.m.
Okay.
Was there anything going to be added to the personnel summary? Do you want to pass that, or do you guys want to?
Yeah, we're going to need an executive session. Yeah, we'll need an executive session.
Okay, because I talked to the two staring at us, barely awake over there.
Let's see. Clerk, board correspondence?
Move to be waived.
And I'll second that.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Okay, at this point, I'll move that we go into executive session for the reasons stated by the Assistant County Prosecutor.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
I guess.
You want me to really put I guess?
No, you can put, you put I.
I'm like, is this a new one that I'm missing?
Voting option there.
That'll be in volume 15.
All right. And we have returned. At this time, I'll make the motion to approve the personnel summary sheet.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Any other business come before the board? Seeing none,